They said she'd be bankrupt within a year, that she was nothing without his name, nothing without his money, nothing without him. 3 years later, she received an email. Due to seating limitations, we regret to inform you that you cannot attend this year's gala. Seating limitations. At an event held in a ballroom that seats 800 people, in a hotel his family owns, the same hotel where they got married 20 years ago. She could have cried, could have accepted it, could have proved him right. Instead, she wrote a check, $7 million, and became the event's title sponsor. What happened next? Well, let's just say Boston society will never forget the night Claire Morrison walked back into the Hartwell Hotel ballroom wearing $15,000 of pure vindication. This is the story of a woman who refused to disappear, and the ex-husband who learned you can't erase someone who's already rewritten the ending. The email arrived at exactly 9:15 in the morning. Claire knew because she heard the notification ping 3 times. Lock, unlock, lock. She sat in her glass-walled office on the 42nd floor, overlooking San Francisco Bay. The water was gray today, choppy with wind. Storm coming in from the Pacific. She could see the Golden Gate Bridge in the distance, half hidden by fog. Claire Morrison was 42 years old, auburn hair cut in a sharp bob, slate gray suit that cost $2,000, heels that added 3 inches to her 5'6" frame. She looked like money because she was money, but that morning, staring at her phone, she felt like the woman she used to be. Small, uncertain. Mrs. Gregory Hartwell. The email subject line read, regarding the Metropolitan Charity Gala. She opened it. Her coffee had gone cold in her hand. Bitter, like everything else connected to Boston. Dear Mrs. Hartwell, the email began. She hadn't been Mrs. Hartwell in 3 years, but Boston society moved slowly. Or maybe James Whitmore was just being kind. I'm writing to inform you that due to seating limitations and donor tier restructuring, we won't be able to accommodate your attendance at this year's gala. We appreciate your past support and hope you understand. Claire read it again, then a third time. The words didn't change. Seating limitations. The gala was held in the Hartwell Hotel ballroom, the hotel Gregory's family had owned for 70 years, the same ballroom where they'd held their wedding reception 20 years ago, the ballroom that seated 800 people comfortably. She set down her coffee. The mug made a sharp sound against the glass desk. The sound echoed in her chest. Her office door opened. Rebecca Mitchell walked in without knocking. That was their agreement. No knocking, no pretense. They'd built this company together from nothing. They didn't need formalities. Rebecca was 44. Sharp black pantsuit, dark hair pulled back tight, tablet in one hand, coffee in the other. She took one look at Claire's face and stopped. What happened? Rebecca asked. Claire forwarded the email without speaking. Rebecca set down her coffee, read the email once, then twice. Her eyebrows rose slowly, perfectly shaped eyebrows that probably cost $100 to maintain monthly. Everything about Rebecca was precise, sharp, intentional. He didn't, Rebecca said. He did. That petty little man. Rebecca's voice was flat, dangerous. After 3 years, after everything, he's still this threatened by you? Claire stood up, walked to the window. The city spread below her. San Francisco, 3,000 miles from Boston. 3,000 miles from the life she'd left behind. 3,000 miles that suddenly felt like nothing. It's just a gala, Claire said. She didn't believe it. Neither did Rebecca. It's not just a gala. It's the social event of the season in Boston. It's where he gets to play king, and he doesn't want you there to remind everyone that he's actually just a man who inherited his father's business. Claire pressed her forehead against the cool glass. Below, tiny cars moved through tiny streets, people living their tiny lives. None of them knew that Claire Morrison, CEO of Morrison Industries, was currently fighting the urge to throw her phone through a 42nd-story window. How much did we donate to the Children's Hospital Fund this year? Claire asked. Rebecca pulled up something on her tablet. $2.3 million. We thought, how much does it cost to be the title sponsor of the gala? Rebecca's fingers moved across the screen, then stopped. A slow smile spread across her face. The same smile she'd worn the day they'd landed their first Fortune 500 client. The same smile she'd worn when they'd made their first million. Dangerous and beautiful. $5 million, Rebecca said. But the sponsorship's already filled. Gregory's company holds it. Hartwell Development has been the title sponsor for 12 years. Everything has a price. Claire. Rebecca set down the tablet, crossed the office, stood next to her at the window. Are you sure? This will detonate. You know it will. Boston will talk about nothing else for months. The kids will hear about it. Gregory's family will lose their minds. Claire looked out at the bay. A cargo ship was making its way under the bridge, slow, steady, carrying containers full of things from somewhere else to here. Everything was always moving, always changing, even when it felt like standing still. 3 years ago, she'd signed divorce papers in this same office. The space had been different then, smaller, just a startup with 6 employees and a dream. Rebecca's savings and Claire's settlement money combined into something that might work or might fail spectacularly. Gregory had called her delusional. His lawyer had actually laughed during the asset division when Claire mentioned her business plan. You'll be bankrupt within a year, Gregory had said, loud enough for everyone in the courthouse to hear. You're nothing without the Hartwell name. You never were. She'd kept her maiden name on the company, Morrison Industries, not Hartwell Technologies, never Hartwell anything. I'm sure, Claire said. Make the call. Rebecca picked up her phone, scrolled through contacts, found James Whitmore, put it on speaker. The phone rang 4 times, then, Rebecca Mitchell, what a pleasant surprise. James Whitmore had coordinated Boston Society events for 30 years. He knew where every body was buried, literally and figuratively. He'd coordinated Claire's wedding, her 10th anniversary party, the gala where Gregory had first introduced her to the board as his wife, his partner, his everything. James, Rebecca said, I'm calling about the Metropolitan Charity Gala. A pause. Oh, yes, I sent the email this morning. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. The decision wasn't mine. The committee felt that given the circumstances being that Gregory Hartwell is a controlling narcissist who can't handle his ex-wife's success. Another pause. Longer this time. That's not how I would phrase it. How would you phrase it? Rebecca, please, this puts me in a very difficult position. Claire took the phone. James, it's Claire Morrison. Claire, Toyam. His voice warmed slightly. How are you? I've been better. Tell me something. Is Gregory current on his sponsorship fee? Silence. James? I really can't discuss. Is he current? A long breath. No, he's 90 days past due, but the Hartwell family has always come through. I'm sure it's just a timing issue. Claire looked at Rebecca. Rebecca nodded. I want to be the title sponsor, Claire said. The sponsorship is all ready. I'll pay $7 million. Cash, today. Title sponsor. Prime seating. And I deliver the keynote address. The silence stretched so long, Claire thought the call had dropped. $7 million, James finally said. $7 million, wired to the Children's Hospital Fund by close of business today. Claire, I don't know if the committee will approve it. They'll approve it because that's more money than the Gala has raised in 5 years combined. They'll approve it because children need medical care, and I'm offering to pay for it. And they'll approve it because Gregory is broke. He's not broke, James said quickly. Too quickly. Then he's cash poor. Either way, he can't pay. I can. So what's it going to be, James? Are you going to turn down $7 million for sick children because you're afraid of Gregory Hartwell? Another long pause. Claire could hear him breathing, could hear papers rustling, could practically hear the mental calculations happening. $7 million. The donations it would inspire, the children it would help, the absolute destruction it would cause. I'll need to make some calls, James said. You have 2 hours. After that, I'm calling the hospital directly and making the donation with no gala attached. They'll be thrilled. You'll have Ashting. That's not fair. Neither is banning me from an event because my ex-husband is insecure. She hung up. Rebecca was grinning. You're absolutely insane. Probably. $7 million? We made $65 million last year. We'll make 80 million this year. I can afford $7 million to prove a point. What point? Claire turned back to the window. The cargo ship had disappeared under the bridge, on its way to somewhere else, always moving. That I don't need his permission to exist. Rebecca's phone buzzed. She looked at it, laughed. James Whitmore calling back. That took 45 minutes, not 2 hours. Claire checked her watch. 9:57 in the morning. In 45 minutes, she'd just completely upended Boston Society's social calendar. Rebecca answered on speaker. James, the committee has approved your generous offer, James said. His voice was tight, professional. We're honored to have Morrison Industries as our title sponsor. We'll need contracts signed by tomorrow and the funds transferred by end of week. You'll have the contract sheeted within the hour and the funds transferred today, Rebecca said. And Claire wants approval on seating arrangements, keynote speech length, and program order. Of course, anything else? Claire leaned toward the phone. Yes, I want my name on the program as Claire Morrison. Not Claire Hartwell, not Claire Morrison Hartwell, Claire Morrison, founder and CEO of Morrison Industries. Absolutely, that's how we'll list you. Ms. Morrison, might I say this is incredibly generous. The children's wing will be transformative for the hospital. Good, that's what matters. After they hung up, Rebecca poured them both whiskey. 10 in the morning. Didn't matter. Some moments required whiskey. To proving points, Rebecca said. To $7 million statements, Claire replied. They drank. Claire's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown Boston number. I heard what you did. This is a mistake. You're making this personal when it doesn't need to be. She knew that typing style. Formal, careful, threatening without actually threatening. Gregory, she deleted it, poured another whiskey. But her hands were shaking. Lock, unlock, lock. 20 years earlier, Claire Morrison was 25 years old and thought she knew everything. She had her MBA from Wharton, a job offer from every consulting firm in Boston, and a confidence that came from being smart and young and certain the world was waiting for her to arrive. She chose Hartwell and Associates because of the name. Old money, old Boston. The kind of firm where partnerships were inherited and mahogany was required. Her first day, she wore a navy suit and pearl earrings. Conservative, professional, exactly what she thought they wanted. She arrived at 7:30 in the morning because arriving on time was arriving late. Gregory Hartwell arrived at 7:45. She noticed him immediately. Everyone noticed Gregory immediately. He was 28 years old and handsome in the way that old money makes men handsome. Good bones, good teeth, good posture. The confidence of someone who had never been told no. He walked past her desk, stopped, came back. You're new, he said. First day. Claire Morrison, I read your file. Impressive. Thank you. You went to Wharton. I did. So did my father. Class of '62. I know. He smiled. You researched us. I research everyone. Smart. We should have coffee. I want to pick your brain about some projects we're working on. Coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into dinner. Dinner turned into the Union Oyster House on a Friday night, sitting in a booth that had been there since 1796, eating oysters and drinking wine and talking about everything. Gregory wanted to expand the family business. His father, Thomas Hartwell, still ran things like it was 1950, hotels and office buildings and nothing else. But Gregory saw potential. Waterfront development, luxury condos, boutique hotels in emerging neighborhoods. The city's changing, Gregory said. We need to change with it. Claire listened, but she also thought. And when Gregory paused, she suggested, gently, the right neighborhoods, the right architects, the right timing. You're brilliant, Gregory said. 2 months later, he kissed her outside her apartment. 6 months later, he proposed. 1 year later, they were married at St. Paul's Cathedral. 400 guests. Her mother cried. His mother, Eleanor Hartwell, smiled that tight smile that said temporary, but Claire didn't notice. She was wearing the Hartwell family veil, 70 years old, lace so delicate it was nearly transparent. Eleanor had worn it. Gregory's grandmother had worn it. Now Claire was wearing it, becoming one of them. Mrs. Gregory Hartwell. The name felt like an achievement. The first few years were good. Claire remembered them being good. She worked alongside Gregory, managing the hotel renovations while pregnant with Sophia, morning sickness in marble bathrooms, choosing light fixtures between contractions, making decisions that would shape the family business for decades. "You're amazing," Gregory would say. "I couldn't do this without you." She believed him. Sophia was born on a Tuesday in October. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. They named her after Gregory's grandmother. Another way of becoming part of them. Another way of belonging. Eleanor came to the hospital, held the baby for exactly 4 minutes, said, "Well, at least she's healthy." Claire laughed it off. New mothers were supposed to laugh things off. 2 years later, Ethan was born. 9 pounds, 1 ounce. Big like his father. They named him after Claire's grandfather. Gregory's idea. A gesture. A bridge between families. Claire loved being a mother. Loved the weight of babies in her arms. Loved the way they smelled like milk and powder and possibility. But she also loved the work. Loved the business. Loved sitting in meetings and making presentations and seeing her ideas become buildings that would stand for generations. Except somewhere between Sophia's birth and Ethan's, something changed. Not suddenly, gradually. The way coastlines erode, the way marriages end. Her ideas at meetings became, "We should consider." Then, "I'll think about it." Then silence. The business dinners moved from restaurants where she was included to clubs where she wasn't. From Boston to New York to places she'd only see on credit card statements. "You're imagining things," Gregory said when she asked. "I'm not," she replied. "You're emotional. It's the hormones. 2 kids in 2 years. That's a lot." "Don't tell me I'm emotional." "I'm not. I'm just saying. You're tired. You're seeing things that aren't there." Gaslighting. She didn't know the word then. She'd learn it later. 3 years after the divorce, sitting in her therapist's office, finally understanding what had happened. But back then, she just thought she was wrong. Present day, Claire sat in her office. It was Tuesday afternoon, 3 days since she'd bought her way into the Gala. 3 days of non-stop texts from unknown Boston numbers. 3 days of calls from people she hadn't spoken to in years. Some congratulated her. Some cursed her. Most just wanted gossip. Rebecca walked in with a tablet. "The contract's signed, the money's transferred. You're officially the title sponsor of the Metropolitan Charity Gala. How's Gregory taking it?" According to Patricia Ashford's Instagram story, quote, "Gregory Hartwell is a generous man who graciously stepped aside to let others participate in charitable giving." End quote. Claire snorted. Graciously stepped aside. The comments are incredible. Half the people are praising him. The other half are asking why he'd step aside from his family's signature event. Any response? None yet, but his PR team is working overtime. 3 different articles have come out in the last 6 hours about Hartwell Development's charitable contributions over the years. Claire pulled up one of the articles, saw a photo of Gregory at last year's gala, smiling, handsome. Vanessa on his arm, blonde and young and wearing red. Vanessa Pierce, 29 years old. Said, former intern at Hartwell Development, former secretary, former mistress, current wife. The woman Gregory had been sleeping with for the last 3 years of their marriage. Claire zoomed in on Vanessa's face. She was pretty, young pretty, the kind of pretty that didn't require effort yet. Give it 10 years and she'd needed to work at it. Give it 20 and she'd be invisible, just like Claire had been. "What are you going to wear?" Rebecca asked. Claire closed the article. "Something expensive. Revenge dressing. I approve." "It's not revenge." "Then what is it?" Claire thought about this. The truth sat heavy in her chest. "Proof. Of what?" "That I existed. That those 20 years meant something. That I wasn't just Gregory Hartwell's wife. That I was Claire Morrison all along." Rebecca sat down across from her. "You know he's going to make this ugly." "He already made it ugly when he banned me." "I mean really ugly. He'll tell everyone you're obsessed with him. That you can't move on. That you're pathetic. Let him. The kids will hear it." That landed. Claire felt it in her stomach. Sophia, Ethan, her babies, not babies anymore. 17 and 15, old enough to have opinions, old enough to choose sides. I know, Claire said quietly. Have you told them you're going? Not yet. You should before Gregory does. Claire picked up her phone, looked at the last text from Sophia. 3 days ago, a photo of her acceptance letter to Brown University. Early decision. Claire had cried when she saw it. Pride and grief mixed together. Her daughter was leaving, becoming her own person. Moving forward, she typed, "Can we talk?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Sophia, about what? Claire, I'm going to Boston next week for a charity event. Sophia, Dad's gala? Claire, yes. The dots appeared and disappeared for a full minute. Sophia, Mom, don't. Claire, I have to. Sophia, no you don't. You're choosing to. You're choosing to make this a thing when it doesn't have to be a thing. Claire, your father made it a thing when he banned me. Sophia, he didn't ban you, he just didn't invite you. There's a difference, Amon. Claire stared at the message, felt something crack in her chest, her own daughter. Defending him, making excuses, learning all the wrong lessons. Claire, there's no difference, and yes, I'm going. I'm the title sauce sponsor. I donated $7 million to children's healthcare. The dots appeared, disappeared, didn't come back. Rebecca watched from across the desk. How'd she take it? About as well as expected. And Ethan? Claire texted him the same message. Got a response 90 seconds later. Ethan, cool, can you get me courtside seats to a Warriors game? She laughed, actually laughed. 15-year-old boys. Everything was simple. Everything was fine as long as you could still play video games and watch basketball. Claire, I'll see what I can do. Ethan, you're the best. At least one of her children still liked her. Flashback, 3 years earlier. The day Claire found out about Vanessa started like any other day. Coffee at 6 in the morning. The shower at 6:30, breakfast with the kids at 7. Gregory had already left for the office. He always left early. Important meetings, important calls, important things that didn't include her. Sophia was 14 then. Ethan was 12. They ate cereal and talked about school and asked if they could go to the mall after soccer practice. Sure, Claire said. I'll pick you up. At 8:30, she drove them to school. Came home to the empty house in Cambridge. White colonial, black shutters, perfect lawn, magazine beautiful, prison elegant. She'd spent the last 12 years making that house perfect. The right furniture, the right art, the right everything. Eleanor had helped meaning supervised, meaning criticized, meaning made sure Claire understood that this was a Hartwell house, not a Morrison house, and Hartwell houses had standards. Claire sat in the kitchen, drank another coffee, looked at her calendar. She had nothing scheduled. Gregory had removed her from the business operations 3 years earlier. Gradually, first from the important meetings, then from the minor ones, then from everything. You have the kids to focus on, he'd said. That's important too. She'd believed him. That's what made her feel most stupid later. She'd believed him. Her phone rang. Sophia. Hey, sweetie, everything okay? Yeah. Sophia's voice was uncertain. I just wanted to tell you something. What is it? I was at Dad's office yesterday after school. I needed him to sign my permission slip. And? There's this new lady. She sits at a desk outside Dad's office, where your desk used to be. Claire felt her stomach drop. Okay. She's really young, Mom, like maybe 30, and she has blonde hair, and she wears these really short skirts. Sophia, and Dad touches her back when he walks by. Not like professional, like she stopped. Never mind, I'm probably being weird. You're not being weird. I just thought you should know. After they hung up, Claire sat very still. Her coffee had gone cold. Again. Everything always went cold. She could ignore it, pretend she didn't hear what she just heard, pretend that Gregory wasn't touching someone else's back in the office where she used to work, or she could drive to the office and see for herself. She drove to the office. The building was downtown. Hartwell Development occupied the top 3 floors. Claire hadn't been there in months, maybe 6 months, maybe longer. She'd stopped counting when they'd stopped inviting her. Security waved her through. They knew her. She was Mrs. Hartwell. She would always be Mrs. Hartwell to them. She took the elevator to the executive floor. The doors opened. She heard laughter before she saw anything. Gregory's laugh. The one he used when he was pleased, when things were going his way. The door to his office was open. Claire walked down the hallway. Slowly, her heels made soft sounds on the carpet. Expensive carpet. She'd chosen it 7 years ago. Plush, gray, professional. She reached the doorway, looked inside. Gregory was at his desk, leaning back in his chair, smiling. A young woman sat across from him, blonde, pretty, short skirt, laughing at something he'd said. "You're so much easier than she ever was," Gregory said. The woman leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "Claire, my wife. She always had an opinion about everything, always wanted to be involved, always questioning, always pushing. You just let me lead." "That's what men need," the woman said. "A woman who understands her place." Claire stood in the doorway. Neither of them saw her. They were too busy laughing, too busy performing their little play about how much better the new model was than the old. She could have walked in, could have confronted them, could have made a scene, but something stopped her. Some small voice that said, "This is your chance. Don't waste it on drama. Use it." She turned around, walked back to the elevator, drove to Rebecca's house. Rebecca answered the door in yoga pants and a t-shirt, took one look at Claire's face and said, "Come in." They sat in Rebecca's kitchen. Rebecca made coffee. Claire told her everything. The young woman, the touching, the laughter, the words. "You're so much easier than she ever was." "What do you want to do, Rebecca?" Rebecca asked. "I need a lawyer," Claire said. "A good one. Someone who won't let Gregory's family connections intimidate them." "I know someone. Marcus Reed. He's a shark." "Good. I need a shark." "And then what?" Claire looked at her best friend, her college roommate, the only person who'd known her before she became Mrs. Gregory Hartwell. "I need a business plan. I need to figure out what I'm worth, because I'm about to find out that I'm worth a lot less than I thought." The divorce took 18 months. 18 months of lawyers and mediators and financial disclosures. 18 months of Gregory fighting her on everything. The house, the cars, the kids' college funds, the investments. "You contributed nothing," Gregory's lawyer said. "You were a spouse, not a partner." But Claire had been preparing. For over a year, she'd been preparing, saving emails, documenting conversations, keeping records of every meeting she'd attended, every client she'd brought in, every crisis she'd managed. Marcus Reed laid it all out. "Your client claims Mrs. Hartwell contributed nothing. Here are 300 pages of documentation proving otherwise. Here are the emails showing her the strategic planning for the waterfront project. Here are the meeting notes where she negotiated the financing for the boutique hotel chain. Here are the contracts she personally secured." Gregory's lawyer looked sick. "We're prepared to go to trial," Marcus said. "And when we do, the press will be very interested in how Gregory Hartwell built his empire on his wife's work and then tried to erase her from the story." They settled 2 weeks later. $7.2 million. Half the house, half the investments, the kids' college funds protected, and a clause that said neither party could disparage the other publicly. Gregory violated that clause the day the divorce was finalized. "She'll be bankrupt within a year," he told everyone at the courthouse. Loud, clear, making sure everyone heard. "She's nothing without the Hartwell name." Claire walked out of the courthouse, got in her car, drove to Rebecca's office. "Ready?" Rebecca asked. "Ready." They'd already been planning. For 6 months, while the divorce dragged through its final stages, they'd been building Morrison Industries, tech consulting, workflow optimization, digital transformation. It had started with a simple observation. Every company Claire had ever worked with was terrible at technology. They had legacy systems that didn't talk to each other, data silos, inefficient processes, millions of dollars wasted on solutions that didn't solve anything. Claire knew how to fix it. She'd been fixing it informally for years, helping friends streamline their operations, consulting on the side, making recommendations that saved companies millions. Why not make it official? Rebecca had the connections. Her ex-husband worked in venture capital. She knew everyone, and everyone owed her favors. They started small. 3 clients in the first 3 months. Small companies, startups, people willing to take a chance on a new firm. Then one of those startups got acquired by Google for $200 million. The founders gave a press conference, thanked their team, thanked their investors, and thanked Morrison Industries for the operational infrastructure that made the acquisition possible. Everything changed overnight. Fortune 500 companies started calling. Tech giants, financial institutions, healthcare systems. Everyone wanted what Morrison Industries was selling. Efficiency, optimization, results. The first year, they made $2.1 million in revenue. The second year, $12 million. The third year, $40 million. This year, they were on track for $80 million. Claire Morrison was not bankrupt. She was thriving. And now she was going back to Boston to make sure everyone knew it. Present day. Claire sat in her office looking at the contract for the gala. Title sponsor, keynote speaker, prime seating. Her name on every program. Claire Morrison, not Hartwell, Morrison. Her phone buzzed. Another unknown Boston number. This is a mistake. You're going to regret this. She deleted it. Another buzz, different number. I always knew you were vindictive. This proves it. Deleted. Another, you're embarrassing yourself. Deleted. Rebecca walked in. The Boston mob is texting you, aren't they? How'd you know? Because they're texting me too. Patricia Ashford sent me a 10-paragraph essay about how you're destroying your children's relationship with their father. What did you say? I told her that Gregory destroyed his relationship with his children when he cheated on their mother for 3 years. Then I blocked her number. Claire laughed, actually laughed. You're my favorite person. I know. Now let's talk about the dress. And the dress? You're spending $7 million to prove a point. You need a dress that costs more than Gregory's car. What kind of car does he drive? A BMW 7 Series, about $90,000. Then I need a dress that costs $100,000. Rebecca pulled out her tablet, scrolled through something, stopped, smiled. I know exactly where to look. 3 hours later, they were on a video call with a personal shopper at Valentino. The dress arrived 2 days later, cream-colored, not white, oyster, the color of expensive things, fitted, elegant, powerful. Claire tried it on in her office, looked at herself in the floor-length mirror. That's not a dress, Rebecca said. That's a weapon. How much? $15,000. Perfect. Claire looked at herself again. 42 years old, strong, successful, still seeking approval from a man who didn't deserve it. She took off the dress, hung it carefully, went back to her desk. Her phone buzzed. Sophia, Mom, everyone's talking about this. Everyone, please don't go. Claire stared at the message, felt the weight of it. Her daughter, asking her to be small, asking her to disappear, asking her to prove Gregory right. She typed, I love you, but I have to do this. Sophia, why? Claire, because for 20 years I was invisible, and I refuse to be invisible anymore. No response. Claire set down her phone, poured herself another whiskey, looked out at San Francisco Bay. The cargo ships were still moving, always moving, never stopping just because someone wanted them to. Claire had always thought that being a good mother meant being selfless, meant putting your children first, meant sacrificing your needs for theirs. She'd been wrong. Being a good mother meant teaching your children how to be whole people, meant showing them that women didn't have to shrink, meant demonstrating that you could survive anything, even the destruction of everything you thought you were. But Sophia didn't see it that way. Sophia saw a mother who'd left, who'd moved across the country, who'd chosen her career over her family, who was now deliberately starting drama just to embarrass their father. The phone rang. Unknown number. Claire almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Mom? Sophia's voice was thick with tears. Can we talk, please? Of course, when? Now, I'm on my way to your hotel. Claire sat up. What hotel? The Four Seasons. I know you're flying on Thursday, Dad told me. He said you were staying there instead of with us. Sophie, I'm coming to San Francisco. I took the red eye. I'll be there in 2 hours. The line went dead. Then, Claire looked at Rebecca, who'd been listening from the doorway. My daughter's on a plane. To talk you out of it? Probably. Are you going to let her? No. But I'm going to listen. 2 hours later, there was a knock on Claire's door. She opened it. Sophia stood there in jeans and a hoodie, looking exhausted and young, and so much like Claire at 17 that it hurt to breathe. Hi, Mom. Hi, baby. They hugged. Sophia cried into Claire's shoulder. Claire held her and felt like the worst mother in the world and the best mother in the world simultaneously. I'm sorry, Sophia said. I'm sorry for texting that stuff. I'm sorry for being angry. I'm just confused. I know. Can we talk? They sat in Claire's living room. The apartment was modern, glass and steel and views of the bay, nothing like the Cambridge house with its colonial architecture and historic charm. This was new. This was hers. Sophia looked around. It's beautiful here. Thank you. Do you like it? San Francisco? I love it. It's warmer, more open. People don't care as much about who your family is. Do you miss Boston? Claire thought about this. Sometimes. I miss the fall. I miss the history. I miss parts of it. Do you miss us? There it was. The real question. Every single day, Claire said, every single hour. You and Ethan are the best things I ever did. The only things I'm truly proud of. But you left anyway. I left your father, not you. It feels like the same thing. I know it does, and I'm so sorry that my survival looked like abandonment to you. Sophia pulled her knees up to her chest, made herself small, a defense mechanism Claire recognized because she'd done it herself for years. Tell me why, Sophia said. Tell me why you have to go to this gala. Tell me why it's so important that you're willing to risk everything. Claire took a breath. Do you remember your 10th birthday party? At the country club? Yes. Do you remember how I planned it? You planned everything, Mom. You always did. I spent 3 months planning that party. I hired the caterer. I arranged the decorations. I organized the games. I sent the invitations. I managed every single detail. Okay. At the party, your grandmother Eleanor pulled me aside. She told me the decorations were tacky. She said the games were too childish. She said I'd embarrass the family. Sophia frowned. I don't remember that. You wouldn't. You were busy being 10. But I remember. And I remember your father standing there while his mother criticized everything I'd done. And when I looked at him for support, he just shrugged and said, maybe she's right. Mom, that's when I knew that I'd never be enough, that nothing I did would ever be enough, because I wasn't a Hartwell. I was just Claire Morrison, who'd married into the family, and they were always going to see me as temporary. Sophia was quiet. For 20 years, I made myself smaller and smaller, Claire continued. I stopped voicing opinions. I stopped attending meetings. I stopped existing as anything other than Gregory Hartwell's wife. And the smaller I became, the happier everyone was. That's not fair. What's not fair? Acting like Dad forced you to be small. You chose that. The words hit like a slap. Claire felt them, absorbed them, tried to find the truth in them. You're right, she said finally. I did choose that. I chose it because I thought that's what love meant. That's what marriage meant. That's what being a good wife and mother meant. And I kept choosing it until I didn't recognize myself anymore. Sophia wiped her eyes. Do you hate him? Dad? No, I don't hate him. Do you still love him? Claire thought about this. I love who I thought he was. I love the man I married 20 years ago. But that man either never existed or stopped existing a long time ago. The man Gregory is now, no, I don't love him. But I don't hate him either. I'm just done being defined by him. Is that what the gala is? You proving you're done? The gala is me proving that I exist. That those 20 years meant something. That I'm not just the ex-wife who couldn't cut it without the Hartwell name. But you're proving it to him, which means you still care what he thinks. Another slap, another truth. You're very smart, Claire said. I learned from you. Then learn this. Yes, I'm proving it to him. Because for 3 years, I've been living under the shadow of what he said about me. That I'm nothing, that I'm bankrupt, that I'm pathetic, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being the cautionary tale, the woman who thought she could make it on her own and failed. But you didn't fail. I know that, you know that, but Boston doesn't know that. Boston still thinks I'm living off alimony and bitterness. So I'm going back to show them exactly who I became when I stopped being Mrs. Gregory Hartwell. Sophia leaned her head on Claire's shoulder. I don't want you to go. I know. But you're going anyway. Yes, because you need to. Because I need to. They sat like that. Mother and daughter, both strong, both stubborn, both trying to figure out what it meant to be a woman in a world that wanted them to be smaller. Dad's really upset, Sophia said quietly. Good. He says you're trying to humiliate him. I'm not. I'm just existing. And apparently that's threatening enough. He's telling everyone you're obsessed with him, that you can't move on. Let him tell that story. I'll tell mine. What's your story? Claire pulled back, looked at her daughter, 17 years old, about to go to college, about to become her own person, about to face all the same challenges Claire had faced, all the same choices. My story is that I spent 20 years being invisible, and then I decided to be visible again. And it turns out I'm really good at being visible, and some people can't handle that, and that's their problem. Not mine. Sophia smiled, small, sad. You're kind of a badass, Mom. I'm trying to be. I'm still mad at you for leaving. That's fair. But I'm also proud of you. That's enough. They ordered room service, ate pasta and bread and chocolate cake, talked about Sophia's college plans, her boyfriend, her friends, normal things, mother-daughter things. At midnight, Sophia got ready to head to the airport. She had a noon flight back to Boston. Will you call me? Sophia asked. After the gala? Of course. And Mom? Yeah. Wear something amazing. If you're going to do this, do it right. Claire laughed, hugged her daughter, watched her leave. Then she sat in her apartment and cried. Not sad crying, something else. Relief maybe, or grief, or the complicated mixture of both that comes from loving someone while knowing you're disappointing them. Her phone buzzed. Ethan, Sophia said you guys talked. She said you made her cry. Claire, she made me cry too. Ethan, are you still going to the gala? Claire, yes, Ethan, cool. Can you get me a signed jersey from Stephen Curry? Claire laughed through her tears. 15-year-old boys. Everything was simple. Claire, I'll see what I can do. Ethan, you're the best mom ever. At least one of her children thought so. 1 week until the gala, Claire's assistant, Rachel, had booked everything. First-class flights, suite at the Four Seasons, car service, dinner reservations. Every detail managed with the precision of a military operation. You need backup everything, Rachel said. She was 26, efficient, terrifying in her competence. Backup shoes, backup jewelry, backup dress in case something happens to the first dress. Nothing's going to happen to the dress. You're walking into a room full of people who hate you. Someone might spill wine, someone might step on the hem, someone might set it on fire. We need backups. Claire loved her assistant. The dress hung in her office, cream, oyster, $15,000 of Italian silk and determination. She looked at it every day. A reminder, a promise, a weapon. Rebecca walked in with coffee and news. Marcus Reed called. He's flying in for the gala. Why? Because he's worried you're going to say something that ends in a lawsuit. He wants to be there to stop you. Marcus Reed, her divorce lawyer, sharp, relentless, the kind of lawyer who billed $800 an hour and was worth every penny. He'd become a friend during the divorce, maybe more than a friend. They'd never discussed it. Some things were safe or undefined. Tell him I'll buy his ticket, Claire said. He already bought his own ticket, but he wants to have dinner the night before. Go over what you can and can't say. I know what I can and can't say. Claire, you're walking into a room full of people who will be recording everything. One wrong word and you'll be memed into oblivion. One emotional outburst and you'll confirm everything Gregory's been saying about you. I won't have an emotional outburst. You're going to see him with Vanessa. You're going to hear people whispering. You're going to feel all the feelings you've been awaiting for 3 years. And you're going to want to scream. Marcus wants to make sure you don't. Claire knew she was right, hated that she was right, but knew it anyway. Fine, dinner, but somewhere good. He suggested Boulevard, 8 o'clock. Perfect. The week passed in a blur. Meetings, calls, contracts, the normal business of running an $80 million company. But underneath everything, the constant hum of anxiety, the countdown, 7 days, 6 days, 5 days. Patricia Ashford posted on social media. Claire saw it because someone sent her a screenshot. Some people just can't let go. Moving to California doesn't mean you've moved on. How embarrassing. The post had 63 likes. Claire recognized most of the names. Former friends, women from the country club, people who'd watched her marriage dissolve and chosen Gregory's side. The comments were worse. She always was desperate for attention. Gregory upgraded, must sting. Imagine being this bitter years later. Spending millions on revenge. Pathetic. Rebecca found Claire reading the comments at 2 in the morning. She was in the office because she couldn't sleep, because when she closed her eyes, she saw their faces. All those people who'd known her, who'd smiled at her at parties, who'd complimented her decorating and her hosting and her everything, who'd abandoned her the moment she wasn't useful anymore. Stop reading that garbage, Rebecca said. I can't help it. Yes, you can. Put down the phone. Step away from the social media. They're not worth your energy. They think I'm pathetic. They're threatened. There's a difference. How am I threatening? I don't even live there anymore. You're threatening because you left and thrived. You're threatening because you proved that women don't need their husbands' names to be successful. You're threatening because every woman in that social circle is looking at you and wondering if they could do the same thing. And that terrifies their husbands. So they attack you, they mock you, they try to make you small again. Because if you can be small, then they're safe. Claire looked at her best friend. When did you get so wise? I've always been this wise. You just weren't listening. They ordered Chinese food at 3 in the morning, ate it sitting on the floor of Claire's office, talked about everything except the gala. Do you ever regret it? Rebecca asked, leaving. Every day and never. Both things are true. That beats the most honest thing you've said in all week. I regret leaving my kids. I regret the pain I caused them. I regret that they had to choose between parents, but I don't regret saving myself. Does that make me selfish? It makes you human. Sophia thinks I'm choosing myself over them. You are choosing yourself, but you're also teaching them to choose themselves. Someday they'll understand. What if they don't? Then they don't, but you'll still be you, and you'll still be okay. Claire finished her lo mein, thought about the woman she'd been 3 years ago. Broken, lost, sitting in the same office, signing divorce papers, thinking her life was over. She'd been wrong. Her life hadn't ended. It had finally started. 4 days before the gala, the dress arrived for final alterations. A seamstress came to the office, pinned, adjusted, made it perfect. Claire stood on a platform in front of a mirror. The dress fit like it had been designed specifically for her body, because it had been. $15,000 bought perfection. You look powerful, the seamstress said. I feel powerful. Then my work is done. 3 days before the gala, Claire's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Claire, it's Eleanor. Eleanor Hartwell, Gregory's mother, the woman who'd never thought Claire was good enough, the woman who'd criticized everything Claire had done for 20 years, the woman who'd smiled at the divorce announcement like she'd won a prize. Eleanor, this is a surprise. I'm calling to ask you not to attend the gala. Straight to the point. No pretense. That was Eleanor, efficient, direct, cold. I'm the title sponsor, Claire said. I'm attending. You're humiliating my son. Your son humiliated himself when he cheated on me for 3 years. That's not relevant. It's extremely relevant. Claire, please, I'm asking you, woman to woman, don't do this. Woman to woman, Eleanor, you never saw me as a woman. You saw me as an interloper. Someone who married your son for his name. Someone who needed to be controlled and managed and kept in her place. That's not true. It's completely true. And now that I've left and succeeded, you can't stand it. Because it proves that I never needed the Hartwell name. I never needed any of you. Silence on the other end of the line. I'll see you at the gala, Eleanor. Try to look pleased. Claire hung up. Her hands were shaking. Lock, unlock, lock. But she was smiling. 2 days before the gala, Claire went to the gym at midnight. Couldn't sleep, couldn't sit still, couldn't stop thinking about everything that was coming. She ran on the treadmill until her legs burned, until sweat soaked through her shirt, until the only thing she could think about was breathing. In, out, in, out. The rhythm of survival. A text came through on her watch. Marcus Reed, landed in SF. Dinner tomorrow night still on? Claire, yes, Boulevard at 8. Marcus, looking forward to it. Try not to overthrow any governments before I get there. Claire laughed, actually laughed, sweaty and exhausted and laughing in an empty gym at midnight. She was going to be okay. Whatever happened at the gala, she was going to be okay. Because she'd already survived the worst thing. She'd survived being erased. She'd survived being nothing. Everything else was just details. Boulevard Restaurant sat on the Embarcadero with views of the Bay Bridge. Expensive, beautiful. The kind of place where power brokers made deals over wine that cost more than most people's rent. Claire arrived at 7:55, early, always early. She wore black, simple, a dress that cost $3,000 and looked like it cost $300. The art of expensive simplicity. Marcus was already there, sitting at a corner table. He stood when he saw her. Tall, 48, silver at the temples. Divorced himself, they'd bonded over asset division and custody arrangements in the particular pain of watching something die slowly. He kissed her cheek. You look beautiful. You look tired. I am tired. I just flew cross-country to stop you from doing something stupid. I'm not doing anything stupid. You're walking into a room full of people who hate you, wearing an expensive dress and planning to give a speech. That's the definition of stupid. They sat, ordered wine. The waiter disappeared. Tell me the speech, Marcus said. I haven't written it yet. Claire, I know what I want to say. I just haven't put it on paper. Then tell me what you want to say. Claire took a sip of wine. I want to say that I don't need anyone's permission to exist, that I don't need to be invited to make a difference, that women don't have to disappear to make men comfortable. That's good, but you can't say it like that. Why not? Because it sounds angry, and if you sound angry, they win. They get to say you're bitter and unhinged and obsessed. You need to sound gracious, thankful, above it all. But I am angry. I know, but they can't know that. Claire hated this, hated the performance, hated that even in her victory, she had to be careful, controlled, acceptable. What should I say? She asked. Marcus pulled out a notepad, actually pulled out a physical notepad. He was the only person under 60 she knew who still used paper. You thank them for being there. You talk about the cause. You mention the children who will benefit. You say something about how you're honored to support such important work. You make it about them, not about you. But it is about me. Publicly, it's about sick children. Privately, yes. It's about you proving a point. But the art of proving a point is making it look like you're not trying to prove anything. That's exhausting. Welcome to being a woman in a position of power. They ordered food, talked about business, about San Francisco, about everything except the thing they were both thinking about. Finally, Marcus said, "How are you really? Not the public version, the real version." Claire set down her fork, terrified. Of what? Of seeing him, of feeling all the things I've been avoiding, of realizing that I still care what he thinks, of confirming everyone's opinion that I'm pathetic. You're not pathetic. Tell that to the internet. Marcus reached across the table, took her hand. His was warm, solid, real. Claire, listen to me. You built an $80 million company from scratch. You did it while going through a divorce, while raising 2 kids, while dealing with a family that tried to destroy you. You're one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the country. You're brilliant. You're resilient. Stop. You're making me cry. Good. Cry. Feel it. But tomorrow you walk into that ballroom like you own it. Because you do own it. You're paying for it. Your name is on the program. You're the reason the event is even happening. And if Gregory Hartwell can't handle that, that's his problem. Claire wiped her eyes. I'm glad you're here. Where else would I be? They finished dinner. Marcus walked her to her car. The night was warm. San Francisco warm, which meant 55 degrees and foggy. Claire, Marcus said, one more thing. Yeah? If you see him with Vanessa and you feel yourself spiraling, remember this. He didn't leave you. You left him. He didn't choose someone better. He chose someone easier. And there's a big difference. Easier how? Easier to control, easier to mold, easier to make invisible. He didn't upgrade. He downgraded to someone who wouldn't challenge him. And that's not about you. That's about him being too weak to handle an equal partner. Claire kissed him on the cheek. You're good at this. At what? Making people feel less broken. You're not broken, you never were. You were just with someone who needed you to think you were. The next morning, Claire flew to Boston. First class, Rebecca came with her. They drank champagne at 10 in the morning because when you're flying across the country to face your demons, you drink champagne. What's the first thing you're going to do when we land? Rebecca asked. Check into the hotel, hang up the dress, take a very long bath. Not go see the kids? I texted Sophia. She's busy with college prep stuff. Ethan has basketball. I'll see them at the gala. They're coming? Gregory's making them come. It's a family event. They always go. That's awkward. Everything about this is awkward. They landed at Logan at 6 in the evening, Boston time, 3-hour time difference. Claire's internal clock was confused. Her anxiety was not. A car met them at the airport, drove them to the Four Seasons. The hotel sat in the back bay, overlooking the public garden. Spring in Boston. The trees were blooming, dogwoods and magnolias. The swan boats were running. Families taking photos, tourists eating ice cream. Claire used to bring the kids here every spring, when they were small, when things were simple, when she still thought she could make the marriage work. The hotel suite was beautiful, floor-to-ceiling windows, king bed, separate living area, the kind of luxury that money bought, the kind of comfort that didn't actually comfort. Rebecca hung up the dress. Claire took that very long bath, sat in water so hot it hurt, thought about tomorrow, thought about everything. Her phone buzzed. Sophia, Dad wants to talk to you. He's asking me to give him your room number. Claire, tell him no. Sophia, Mom, please. He just wants to talk. Claire, if he wants to talk, he can call me. 10 minutes later, her phone rang. Unknown number. She knew that number. Had known it for 20 years. Hello, Gregory. Claire. His voice was tight, controlled, angry underneath. We need to talk. We're talking now. In person. I'm downstairs. What's your room number? No, you say. Excuse me? No, I'm not giving you my room number. If you want to talk, we can meet in the lobby tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock. Public, neutral. This is ridiculous. This is necessary. You're being paranoid. I'm being smart. 9 o'clock, tomorrow, lobby. Take it or leave it. She hung up. Her hands were shaking. Lock, unlock, lock. But she was smiling. Claire didn't sleep. She tried, put on pajamas, got into the enormous bed, closed her eyes. But her brain wouldn't stop. At midnight, she gave up. Ordered room service, French fries and a chocolate milkshake. The kind of food that made no sense but felt necessary. She ate the fries one at a time, dipped them in the milkshake like she used to do as a kid. Small comfort ritual. Universal behavior when everything felt out of control. Rebecca knocked on the connecting door. Can't sleep either? Nope. Want to watch terrible reality TV and eat your feelings? Yes. They sat on Claire's couch, watched people compete for roses and love and validation from strangers. Ate ice cream straight from the container. Talked about nothing important. At 2 in the morning, Rebecca said, Are you okay? Really okay? Claire thought about this. No, but I will be. What's the worst case scenario? I walk into that ballroom and realize I still love him, that all of this was for nothing, that I'm exactly as pathetic as everyone thinks. In the best case, I walk into that ballroom and feel nothing and realize I'm free. What's most likely? Something in between. I'll feel complicated things. I'll wish they were simple. I'll get through it anyway. That's very mature of you. I'm 42. If I'm not mature right now, I never will be. They fell asleep on the couch. Woke up at 7 with the TV still on and their necks hurting. The morning light was golden. Beautiful. The kind of light that promised good things even when good things felt impossible. Claire took another bath, did her hair, put on makeup. Not too much, just enough. The art of looking effortless required tremendous effort. At 8:45, she went down to the lobby, wore jeans and a cashmere sweater, expensive casual, the kind of outfit that said, I didn't try, but also I'm rich. Gregory was already there, sitting in a leather chair by the window. He looked the same, 45. Handsome in that way wealth makes men handsome. Good bones, better posture, the confidence of someone who'd never had to rebuild from nothing. He stood when he saw her. Claire, Gregory. They didn't hug, didn't touch, stood 3 feet apart like strangers who used to know each other. You look good, he said. Thank you. San Francisco agrees with you. It does. Awkward silence. Two people who'd shared 20 years in a bed and children and now couldn't figure out how to have a conversation. Can we talk? Gregory asked. Somewhere private? We can talk here. This is fine. Claire, please, I'm not going to hurt you. I know, but I'm also not going to be alone with you. He looked annoyed. You're being ridiculous. I'm being careful. There's a difference, Ormais. He sat down. She sat across from him. A coffee table between them. Physical barrier, emotional barrier, everything barrier. Why are you doing this? Gregory asked. Doing what? You know what? The gala, the sponsorship, the whole performance. I'm supporting children's health care. You're trying to humiliate me. Not everything is about you, Gregory. This is. You're spending $7 million to prove a point. What point is that? That you're better than me, that you're successful, that you don't need me. Claire smiled. I don't need to prove any of those things. They're just true. His jaw tightened. She knew that tell. 20 years of marriage taught you someone's tells. Jaw tightening meant he was furious but trying to hide it. The kids are upset, he said. I know, I've talked to them. Sophia's crying every night. That's between me and Sophia. Ethan asked me why his parents can't just get along. And what did you tell him? I told him you are making things difficult. Claire felt the anger rise, hot, sharp, real. I'm making things difficult? You banned me from an event. You've spent 3 years telling everyone I'm bankrupt and pathetic. You've turned our friends against me, and I'm making things difficult? Keep your voice down. Don't tell me what to do. You're making a scene. I'm having a conversation. If it's uncomfortable for you, that's your problem. Gregory leaned forward. What do you want, Claire? What will it take for you to drop this whole thing? Drop it? Cancel the sponsorship? Don't come tonight. Let this go. Why would I do that? I'll pay you, whatever the amount is, 8 million, 10 million. Name your price. Claire stared at him. You think this is about money? Isn't it? No, it's about respect. It's about acknowledgement. It's about the fact that you spent 20 years erasing me and I'm done being erased. I never erased you. You told everyone I contributed nothing. You said I was just a housewife. You acted like the business we built together was all you. It was my family's business. That I helped expand, that I helped grow, that I gave 20 years of ideas and work and late nights to, but sure, it was all you. You're rewriting history. I'm telling the truth. Finally. They sat in silence. The lobby moved around them. Tourists, business people, lives happening while theirs stood still. I loved you, Gregory said quietly. I know you don't believe that now, but I did. I loved you. You loved the version of me that didn't challenge you. The version that made you look good. The version that stayed small so you could feel big. That's not fair. None of this is fair, but that doesn't make it less true. What happened to us, he asked. Claire thought about this. We happened. Real us, not the fantasy. And you couldn't handle real me, so you found someone easier. Vanessa's not easier. She's easier. She's younger. She agrees with you. She doesn't have opinions. She's everything I wasn't. She makes me happy. Good. I hope she does. I hope you're very happy together. Then why are you doing this? Because happiness doesn't erase history. You don't get to be happy and also get to control the narrative. You don't get to tell everyone I was nothing and then be surprised when I show up to prove I'm something. Gregory stood up. I can't stop you from coming tonight. No, you can't. But I'm asking you, as the father of your children, as someone who used to matter to you, please don't do this. Claire stood up too, looked him in the eye. I'll see you tonight, Gregory. She walked away, didn't look back, got in the elevator, pressed the button for her floor. Only when the doors closed did she let herself shake. Back in her room, she sat on the bathroom floor, tile cold against her legs, breathing hard, trying not to cry. Rebecca found her there, sat down next to her, didn't say anything, just sat. I thought I'd feel powerful, Claire said. You are powerful. I feel scared. That's normal. I don't want to go tonight. Then don't. But I have to. Why? Because if I don't, he wins, and I refuse to let him win. They sat on the bathroom floor for 20 minutes. Then Claire stood up, washed her face, looked in the mirror. 42 years old, successful, terrified, human. She could do this. She had to do this because the alternative was being small forever. The gala started at 7. Claire spent the afternoon getting ready. Hair, makeup, the dress. Each step was armor. Each detail was intention. The makeup artist had flown in from Los Angeles, made Claire look like herself but better. The kind of makeup that looked like no makeup but cost $2,000. The hairstylist swept Claire's hair up. Elegant, classic, sophisticated, the kind of hairstyle that said, I have my life together even when I don't. At 5:30, Claire put on the dress. Cream, oyster, $15,000. It fit perfectly because perfection was the point. Rebecca whistled. You look like vengeance. I look like justice. Vengeance, justice. Same thing when you were wearing Valentino. Marcus arrived at 6. He wore a tux, looked good, looked like someone who could protect her from her own emotions. Ready? He asked. No, but we're going anyway. The car arrived at 6:30, black SUV, not a limousine. Too obvious. They drove through Boston. The city looked beautiful in the spring light, the same city she'd lived in for 20 years, the same city that had never really been hers. They arrived at the Hartwell Hotel at 6:55, fashionably on time. The red carpet was out, photographers waiting, press with cameras. This was Boston. Everything that mattered happened in public. Claire stepped out of the car. The cameras flashed immediately. Miss Morrison, over here. Claire, look this way. Miss Morrison, tell us about your donation. She posed, smiled, confident, collected. The dress caught the light. She looked expensive, successful, untouchable. Rebecca and Marcus flanked her, her people, her team, her chosen family. Inside, the ballroom was everything Gregory was. Old money, old elegance, crystal chandeliers, gold accents, the kind of beauty that whispered instead of shouted. 800 people. Boston's elite. She recognized faces. Eleanor Hartwell by the bar, looking like she'd swallowed glass. Patricia Ashford near the silent auction, whispering to someone. Thomas Hartwell, Gregory's father, watching from the donor wall with an expression she couldn't read. And there, by the stage, Gregory, he was talking to someone, laughing, playing the gracious host. Then he saw her. His face changed, tightened, went from charming to furious in half a second. Next to him stood Vanessa, 29 years old, blonde, pretty, wearing red, too much makeup, too much jewelry, trying too hard. Claire felt nothing. No, that was wrong. She felt something, but not what she expected. Not love, not longing, not even hate. She felt sorry for her, sorry for Vanessa, who was standing next to a man who would make her invisible, who would erase her, who would tell her she was too much or not enough until she disappeared. James Whitmore appeared immediately. Ms. Morrison, welcome. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity. Thank you for having me, James. Your table is front and center, and we'll be introducing you as our title sponsor just before dinner. I've prepared remarks if you'd like to review them. I'll speak without notes, but thank you. Of course, of course. Can I get you anything? Champagne? Why, I'm fine, thank you. Gregory was walking toward them. No, stalking. His face was controlled, but Claire could read him. She'd been married to him for 20 years. Every micro-expression, every tell. He was furious. Claire, he said, Ben. His voice was tight. What a surprise. Gregory, lovely event. The decorations are beautiful. We need to talk. We talked this morning. Privately. I don't think that's necessary. People were watching. The energy in the room had shifted. Everyone could feel it. The ex-wife and the ex-husband, the drama they'd been waiting for. You're making a scene, Gregory hissed. I'm attending a charity event that I'm sponsoring. How is that making a scene? You know exactly what you're doing. I'm supporting children's health care. What are you doing? Marcus stepped forward. Mr. Hartwell, is there a problem? Gregory looked at Marcus. Recognition, annoyance. The divorce attorney. How appropriate. Friend. The word you're looking for is friend. Vanessa appeared at Gregory's elbow. She was younger up close, uncertain, nervous. She looked at Claire with something like fear. Greg, Vanessa said, is everything okay? Fine, darling, this is Claire. Oh, Vanessa's eyes went wide. Hello. Claire looked at her, really looked. She was 29, young, pretty, wearing Gregory's taste in clothing, styled to his preferences, a surlion, a placeholder, a younger model who didn't know yet what was coming. Hello, Vanessa, Claire said. That's a beautiful dress. Thank you. Vanessa sounded surprised, grateful. Yours is stunning. Valentino. I love Valentino. They were having a normal conversation, two women talking about fashion while the men stood by, confused. Would you excuse us for a moment, Claire said to Gregory. I'd like to talk to Vanessa. Absolutely not. It's okay, Vanessa interrupted. Just for a minute. Claire and Vanessa walked toward the windows. Away from the crowd, Rebecca and Marcus stayed back watching, ready to intervene if necessary. They stood by the windows overlooking Boston Harbor. The water was dark, lights from buildings reflected on the surface. Beautiful. Cold. You didn't have to be nice to me, Vanessa said quietly. Why wouldn't I be? Because I'm, the other woman. Vanessa flinched. Yes. Claire looked at her. How long have you been together? 4 years. We got married last year. Do you love him? Yes, very much. Good. I hope he treats you well. He does. He's wonderful. She trailed off. Claire waited. He's everything I dreamed about, Vanessa continued. He's successful and handsome, and he chose me. Me over someone like you. Someone like me? Smart, accomplished, beautiful. I always wondered why he'd leave someone like you for someone like me. Because I challenged him, Claire said. And you don't. Vanessa's face changed. Confusion, recognition, defense. That's not. How long before he started criticizing you? Claire asked. The way you dress, the way you talk, your opinions. He doesn't. Not yet, but he will. He'll start slowly. A comment about your friends, a suggestion about your makeup, a joke about your intelligence, and you'll laugh it off. Because you love him. Because you're grateful he chose you. Because you think that's what love is. Why are you telling me this? Because no one warned me. And I spent 20 years being erased. And I won't watch another woman go through that without at least trying to warn her. Gregory says you are bitter. Gregory says a lot of things. Most of them are designed to control the narrative, to make sure you never question him, to keep you grateful and small and eager to please. I should go back. Of course. But Vanessa, When he tells you you're too sensitive or you're imagining things or you're overreacting, trust yourself. You're not crazy. He's just very good at making people feel crazy. Vanessa walked away quickly. Gregory met her halfway. They spoke. He looked at Claire. His expression was murder. Good. Let him be angry. She was done caring about his feelings. Dinner was served. Claire's table was prime placement. Rebecca, Marcus, and 5 local hospital executives who were thrilled to meet the woman who just donated $7 million. Dr. Catherine Williams sat to Claire's right. She was 48, competent, warm, the kind of doctor you'd trust with your life. Thank you, Dr. Williams said. Truly, this donation will transform what we can do for children. The new wing will allow us to treat twice as many patients. We'll be able to hire more specialists. We'll be able to... She stopped, smiled. I'm rambling, but this means everything. I'm glad, Claire said, and she meant it. $7 million. She'd spent it to prove a point, but children would benefit. Both things were true. Gregory's table was opposite. He kept looking over. Vanessa looked uncomfortable. Eleanor looked furious. Thomas looked old. The dinner conversation flowed. Claire was good at this, always had been, charming, engaged, asking the right questions. She'd spent her whole life performing at events like this. But now it wasn't performance. She was genuinely interested. Dr. Williams told her about the children they'd save, the lives they'd change, the futures they'd protect. After dessert, James Whitmore took the stage, thanked everyone for attending, announced the total raised. $4.2 million in addition to the sponsorships, nearly $12 million total for children's healthcare. And now, James said, I'd like to introduce our title sponsor. She's a remarkable woman who embodies the spirit of giving back. 3 years ago, she founded Morrison Industries, a tech consulting firm that has revolutionized how major companies approach digital transformation. Under her leadership, Morrison Industries has grown from a startup to an industry leader with over $80 million in annual revenue. Claire's eyebrows rose slightly. $80 million, their final Q4 numbers. She hadn't realized James had access to those figures. Please welcome to the stage, Claire Morrison. The applause was genuine, surprised but genuine. Claire stood. The dress caught the light. She walked to the stage, confident, steady, powerful. She looked out at 800 faces. Some she knew, most she didn't. Gregory sat very still. Eleanor looked furious. Patricia Ashford was whispering to someone, probably calculating how much social capital she'd lost by attacking Claire publicly. Claire adjusted the microphone, smiled, began. Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you to James and the committee for this opportunity to support such important work. Standard opening, expected, safe. I almost didn't come tonight. That got attention. People leaned forward. Gregory's jaw tightened. 3 weeks ago, I received an email explaining that due to seating limitations, I couldn't attend this gala. The gala held in a ballroom that seats 800 people, in a hotel I used to know very well. The room went silent, completely silent. You could hear people breathing. I could have been hurt. I could have been angry. Instead, I wrote a check, $7 million to make sure children receive the medical care they need regardless of their family's ability to pay. Applause. But Claire wasn't finished. She held up a hand. Silence returned. I'm sharing this story not to embarrass anyone, but to make a point. We don't always get invited to the table. Sometimes we're deliberately excluded. Sometimes we're told we're not enough, or we're too much, or we don't belong. She paused, looked directly at Gregory. But here's what I've learned in the last 3 years. You don't need an invitation to make a difference. You don't need permission to use your resources for good. You don't need to be included to be powerful. Her voice was steady, clear, not angry, just true. This gala will raise over $12 million for children's health care tonight. That's what matters. Not who got invited, not who got excluded, not whose name is on the sponsorship wall. The only thing that matters is that children will receive treatment they desperately need. She paused again, let the words sink in. So thank you all for your generosity. Thank you for choosing to make a difference. And remember, you don't need anyone's permission to do good in the world. You just need the courage to write the check. The applause was thunderous. People stood. Not everyone. Eleanor Hartwell stayed seated. Patricia Ashford looked confused. But Dr. Williams was standing. Rebecca was standing. Marcus was standing. And slowly, reluctantly, Gregory stood too. Because everyone was watching. Because not standing would confirm everything Claire just said. Claire left the stage. Didn't look back. Didn't need to. Her hands weren't shaking. For the first time in 3 years, standing in front of Gregory, in a room full of people who'd watched her be erased, she was completely steady. She'd done it. Not revenge. Something better. Dignity. The rest of the gala passed in a blur. People approached Claire. Some congratulated her. Some apologized. Patricia Ashford actually cried. "I'm so sorry," Patricia whispered. "I should have said something when he started treating you that way. We all saw it. We just didn't want to get involved." "I understand," Claire said. And she did. Complicity was easier than courage. Silence was safer than speaking up. "You're so brave," Patricia said. "I'm not brave. I'm just done being invisible." A young woman approached. Claire didn't recognize her at first. Then she did. Amanda Harrison. She'd been at Claire and Gregory's wedding. Her father was on the board of Hartwell Development. "Ms. Morrison," Amanda said, "I just wanted to say thank you for what you said up there about not needing permission. I'm leaving my husband. We've been married 6 years and I've disappeared completely. Your speech made me realize I don't have to stay disappeared." Claire felt something crack in her chest. "You don't. You really don't. Can I ask you something?" "Of course. Does it get easier leaving?" Claire thought about this. "No, but it gets different. The hard parts change, the pain changes. And eventually you realize that being yourself, even if it's hard, is better than being someone else, even if it's easy." Amanda hugged her. Claire hugged back. 2 women, 2 stories, same struggle. Gregory didn't approach her. Vanessa did, though, just before Claire was planning to leave. "Miss Morrison?" Vanessa's voice was quiet, uncertain. "Please, call me Claire. Claire, can I talk to you just for a minute?" They walked to a quiet corner, away from the crowd, away from the performance. "Thank you," Vanessa said, "for what you said earlier about the criticism and the control." "You're welcome. I need to tell you something. Gregory and I had a fight last night. After he found out you were coming, he was so angry and he said things about you, about me, about how I'm not smart enough to understand business, about how I should just focus on looking pretty and supporting him." Claire felt that familiar anger. Hot, sharp, protective. "And then tonight," Vanessa continued, "watching you up there, so confident and successful and whole, I realized something. That's not what he wants. He doesn't want a partner. He wants an accessory. What are you going to do?" "I don't know, but I know I can't keep disappearing. I'm 29. I have my whole life ahead of me, and I don't want to spend it being small." "Good. Don't." "Was it hard, leaving him?" "It was the hardest thing I've ever done, and the best thing I've ever done. Both things are true." Vanessa smiled. "Tired. Thank you for warning me, for caring enough to trepidate." After Vanessa walked away, Rebecca appeared with 2 glasses of champagne. "That was beautiful." "What was?" "You just saved that woman years of pain." "Maybe, or maybe she'll stay anyway. People usually do. But you gave her the option. You showed her there's another way. That's all you can do." They drank their champagne, watched the gala wind down, watched Gregory play the gracious host, watched Eleanor hold court, watched Boston society do what it always did: perform, perfect, pretend. At 10:30, Claire was ready to leave. Exhausted, emotionally wrung out, done. Marcus appeared with her coat. "Car's waiting." "Thank you." They walked through the lobby, out the front door. The night air was cold. Spring in Boston was deceptive. Warm during the day, freezing at night. The car pulled up. Claire got in. Rebecca and Marcus followed. "How do you feel?" Marcus asked. Claire thought about this, looked out the window at Boston, the city lights, the historic buildings, the place that had been her home for 20 years. "Empty," she said finally. "Empty?" I thought I'd feel triumphant, vindicated, satisfied. Instead, I just feel done. Done is good, Rebecca said. Good. Well, it means you can finally move on, really move on, not just geographically, emotionally. The car drove through the city, past Beacon Hill, past the Common, past all the places Claire used to know. I don't miss it, she said. I thought I would, but I don't. What don't you miss? Marcus asked. Any of it. The city, the society, the performance. I thought it was home, but it was just a stage and I was just playing a role. They drove back to the Four Seasons, went up to Claire's suite, ordered room service, sat on the floor like they were in college, eating French fries and talking about everything. At midnight, Claire's phone rang. Sophia. Hey, sweetie. Mom. Sophia's voice was thick with tears. I saw the video. Someone posted your speech. And it has 500,000 views. What? Your speech. It's viral. Everyone's sharing it. Everyone's talking about it. Claire felt something twist in her stomach. What are they saying? Good things, Mom. They're saying you're brave. They're saying you're inspiring. They're saying you're a badass. Sophia, I was wrong. I told you not to go. I told you it was embarrassing. But I was wrong. You weren't trying to embarrass Dad. You were just existing. And apparently that's threatening enough. Sophie, I'm proud of you, Mom. I didn't understand before why you had to leave, why you had to start over, but I get it now. You weren't running away. You were running toward yourself. Claire cried, actually cried, relief and grief and pride all mixed together. I love you, Claire said. I love you too. And Mom? Yeah. Next time you want to spend $7 million to prove a point, maybe give me a heads up. They laughed, both of them, mother and daughter, finding their way back to each other. After they hung up, Claire sat with Rebecca and Marcus, exhausted, emotional. But okay. Check Twitter, Rebecca said. Claire checked. Her speech was everywhere. People were quoting it, analyzing it, sharing their own stories of being excluded and finding their power anyway. One tweet had 50,000 likes. Claire Morrison just gave every woman permission to take up space, to not shrink, to not disappear. This is what power looks like. Another. Gregory Hartwell tried to erase his ex-wife from his event. She showed up as the title sponsor and reminded everyone exactly who built his empire. Chef's kiss. Another, y'all, this woman donated $7 million just to prove she doesn't need an invitation to matter. That's the most expensive power move I've ever seen, and I'm here for it. Claire closed the app. This is surreal. This is justice, Rebecca said. This is better than justice, Marcus added. This is vindication. They stayed up until 3 in the morning, talking, laughing, processing. Finally, Rebecca and Marcus went to their rooms. Claire sat alone. She looked out at Boston. The city was quiet now, sleeping, dreaming, moving on. She thought about Gregory, about Vanessa, about Eleanor and Patricia and everyone who'd watched her be erased and said nothing. She didn't hate them. She just didn't need them anymore. And that felt like freedom. Sunday morning, Claire woke up at 8. Her flight back to San Francisco wasn't until 2. She had time. She took a shower, made coffee, looked at her phone, more messages, more emails, more responses to her speech. One caught her attention, from Vanessa. Claire, I'm leaving him. I filed for divorce this morning. Thank you for showing me I could. Claire stared at the message, felt something settle in her chest. Not quite peace, not quite satisfaction, something else. She'd helped someone. That mattered more than revenge ever could. Rebecca knocked on the connecting door. Ready for breakfast? Almost. They went downstairs. The restaurant was busy. Families, tourists, people living their lives. They got a table by the window, overlooking the public garden. The swan boats were already running. Claire ordered pancakes. Rebecca got eggs Benedict. They ate slowly, talked about work, about the future, about everything except last night. Finally, Rebecca said, "What now?" "What do you mean?" "You did the thing. You proved the point. You showed up. You spoke your truth. What happens next?" Claire thought about this. "I go home. I run my company. I live my life." "That's it?" That's everything. No more grand gestures? No more grand gestures, just existing, loudly, unapologetically. They finished breakfast, went back upstairs to pack. Claire folded the Valentino dress carefully, put it back in its box. A souvenir, a reminder, a weapon she wouldn't need again. At 11, there was a knock on her door. Claire opened it. Ethan stood there with his basketball and his backpack. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "Came to say goodbye. Dad said you're flying out today." "I am. Come in." He came in, looked around the suite, whistled. "This is fancy." "It's nice." "You look tired." I am tired. But like good tired, not sad tired." Claire smiled. Her 15-year-old son, simple, direct, wise in ways he didn't realize. "Yeah, good tired." "Can I ask you something?" Ethan said. "Of course." "Why'd you really come back? Was it just to mess with Dad?" "No, it was to prove something to myself." "Did you prove it?" "I think so." "Good, because you're kind of awesome, Mom, and I don't want you to forget that." Claire hugged him. Her baby. Not a baby anymore. Almost a man. Almost gone. "I love you," she said. "Love you too. Now can you really get me that Warriors jersey?" She laughed. "I'll see what I can do." After Ethan left, Claire finished packing. One last look around the suite. One last moment in Boston. Then she was ready. The car arrived at noon. Rebecca and Marcus came with her to the airport. They went through security together. Found her gate, sat, and waited. "Thank you," Claire said, "both of you, for being here, for supporting me, for not letting me do this alone." "Where else would we be?" Rebecca said. "Literally anywhere but watching you have an emotional breakdown in a hotel bathroom at 3 in the morning," Marcus added. They laughed, all of them, the laughter of people who'd survived something together. Claire's phone buzzed. Unknown number, but she recognized it now, Gregory. She considered not answering, then changed her mind, answered on speaker. "Hello, Gregory." "Claire." His voice was tight, controlled. "I wanted to call before you left." "I'm listening." "What you did last night, that speech, the whole performance, it was cruel. It was honest. You humiliated me in front of everyone." "No, I told my truth. If that humiliated you, that's on you, not me. Vanessa left me. Did you know that?" "I heard." "She said you told her to leave." "I told her she had options. She made her own choice." "You destroyed my marriage." "No, Gregory. You destroyed your marriage, just like you destroyed ours." I just pointed out the pattern. Silence on the other end. Then, "I loved you. I really did." "I believe you, but love isn't enough when it comes with erasure." "I'm sorry for what it's worth. I'm sorry for how things ended." Claire felt something loosen in her chest. "Thank you. I appreciate that." "Are we done? Really done?" "We've been done for 3 years, Gregory. Last night was just the epilogue." "What happens now?" "You live your life. I live mine. We co-parent our kids. We move on." "Just like that?" "Just like that." She hung up. Rebecca looked at her. "How do you feel?" "Free." They called her flight. Claire hugged Rebecca and Marcus. Long hugs. Grateful hugs. The kind of hugs that said, "I couldn't have done this without you." Then she boarded. Found her seat. First class. Window. She looked out as the plane taxied. Boston spread below. Beautiful. Historic. Someone else's home now. The plane took off. Boston got smaller and smaller until it disappeared completely. Claire closed her eyes. Thought about the last 3 years. The divorce, the startup, the success, the gala. All of it. She'd survived. More than survived. She'd thrived. And now she was free. Really free. Not just geographically, emotionally, spiritually, completely. The plane leveled out. The flight attendant brought champagne. Claire accepted as it raised the glass to her reflection in the window. "To Claire Morrison," she said quietly, "CEO, philanthropist, woman who refused to disappear." She drank. 5 hours later, the plane landed in San Francisco. Claire got off, collected her luggage, walked through the airport. A driver met her, took her home. to her apartment with its views of the bay, to her city, to her life. She unpacked, hung up the dress, put away her things, made tea, stood at the window. The sun was setting, golden light over the water. Beautiful, warm, hers. Her phone buzzed. Rebecca, did you see the news? What news? Morrison Industries just got approached by 3 Fortune 100 companies. They all want to work with us. Said your speech convinced them we're the real deal. Claire laughed. Are you serious? Dead serious. We're going to need to hire more people, expand the office, maybe open a Boston location. Absolutely not. Kidding, but seriously, your speech just made us at least $20 million. So maybe revenge is profitable after all. It wasn't revenge. I know, but the universe rewards audacity, and you were very audacious. After they hung up, Claire sat on her couch, thought about everything, about who she'd been, who she was becoming. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number, but this time not Boston. Hello? Ms. Morrison, this is Sarah Chen from the Women's Leadership Foundation. We'd love to have you speak at our annual conference. Your message about not needing permission to be powerful really resonated with our members. I'd be honored. They scheduled it. A keynote speech in September. 10,000 women, Claire Morrison telling her story, encouraging others to tell theirs. More calls came, more opportunities, more invitations to speak, to share, to inspire. Claire said yes to some, no to others, chose carefully, intentionally, the way she chose everything now. At 8 that night, she made dinner, simple pasta, glass of wine, sat on her balcony overlooking the bay. She thought about Gregory, hoped he was okay, hoped he'd learn from this, doubted he would, but hoped anyway. She thought about Vanessa, hoped she'd find herself, hoped she'd be brave, hoped she'd build something beautiful from the ruins. She thought about Sophia and Ethan, hoped they understood eventually, hoped they'd forgive her for choosing herself, hoped they'd learn to choose themselves too. But mostly she thought about herself. Claire Morrison, 42 years old, divorced, rebuilt, successful, free. She'd spent $7 million to prove she didn't need permission to exist. She'd walked into a room full of people who'd erased her and reminded them she was real. She'd given a speech that went viral and changed lives. But the real victory wasn't any of that. The real victory was sitting on her balcony, eating pasta, drinking wine, and realizing she genuinely didn't care what Gregory thought anymore. She didn't need his validation. She didn't need his approval. She didn't need him to see her worth, because she saw it herself, and that was enough. More than enough. That was everything. Claire Morrison raised her glass to the San Francisco sky, to the stars appearing above the bay, to the future stretching out before her. Here's to writing your own story, she said to no one, to everyone, to herself. Here's to not waiting for permission. Here's to taking up space. Here's to being exactly who you are, as loudly as you need to be. She drank. The city glowed below. The water shimmered. The night was warm, and Claire Morrison was free. Finally, completely, beautifully free. The prison door had been unlocked all along. She just needed to walk through it. And now, standing on the other side, she could finally breathe. They said she'd be bankrupt within a year, that she was nothing without his name, nothing without his money, nothing without him. 3 years later, she received an email. Due to seating limitations, we regret to inform you that you cannot attend this year's gala. Seating limitations. At an event held in a ballroom that seats 800 people, in a hotel his family owns. The same hotel where they got married 20 years ago. She could have cried, could have accepted it, could have proved him right. Instead, she wrote a check, $7 million, and became the event's title sponsor. What happened next? Well, let's just say Boston society will never forget the night Claire Morrison walked back into the Hartwell Hotel ballroom wearing $15,000 of pure vindication. This is the story of a woman who refused to disappear.